Back at it again. RIC in the place to be. Ric Serritella for the All Access Football Daily Show. We are live, ramped up, revved up, ready to go on this NFL Week 2, Sunday, September 14th, our 14th episode here on the All Access Football Daily Show. We're live each and every day of the week, 7 days, no days off, 10 a.m. Eastern. Buckle up, hunker down. There's a lot to get to. We're going to get right into the NFL Picke'm show, jumping right into it. All right, let's start it off with the LA Rams, 1-0 at the Tennessee Titans, 0-1. We've got a matchup between a potential Super Bowl contender and a team starting a rookie quarterback in Cam Ward, who had 112 yards last week, no interceptions, played mistake-free football, had a lot of drops by his wide receivers, and you saw the Denver pass rush was a little bit too much for Cam Ward to handle last week. However, he looks poised. He looks prepared. He looks ready to go. Calvin Ridley with a rare drop last week. I'm looking for those two to connect and reunite and, at least put one or two touchdowns on the board. Now, injuries speaking, LA Rams, doubtful guard Steven Avila, tight end Colby Parkinson, both doubtful for this matchup. Okay, for the Tennessee Titans, they're going to be missing a lot of beef. Where's the beef? Not in Tennessee today, because J.C. Latham, their offensive tackle, T'Vondre Sweat, their defensive tackle, combined nearly 700 pounds of beef. They will both be out for the Tennessee Titans. Doubtful is running back Khalil Mullings, rookie out of Michigan, and safety Kevin Winston, rookie out of Penn State. So Tennessee could be down at least 4 players in this matchup. And on the offensive side for the Rams, they've got a high-octane offense led by Matthew Stafford, who I believe just accumulated 60,000 passing yards. And, his running back, Kyren Williams, he's got 50-plus scrimmage yards in his last 29 consecutive games, the longest such streak in the National Football League. I fully expect him to keep that intact this week against the Titans, especially with T'Vondre Sweat out up the middle. That means Jeffrey Simmons will be getting a lot of double teams and a lot of Kyren Williams left, Kyren Williams right, sprinkle in a Blake Corum, and oh, by the way, Puka Nacua just doing what he does, 130 yards last week. Devontae Adams getting involved into the mix. He had 51 yards. I see the Rams winning this handedly, 27-16. You can lay the 5.5 comfortable. The over-under is 41.5, but I like the Rams to cover over the Tennessee Titans. All right, moving right along. San Francisco 49ers, 1-0 against the New Orleans Saints, 0-1. San Francisco favored by 2.5 in this matchup. And you might be saying, well, why? The Saints are starting Spencer Rattler. Well, that's because Brock Purdy is out. And this is probably the most garbage, worst quarterback matchup of the week. Mac Jones, the former first-round pick, in the saddle for Kyle Shanahan and those San Francisco 49ers. In fact, Adrian Martinez, remember me? He was in the UFL, got signed by San Francisco. He's been elevated now to be the backup for Mac Jones. He has yet to take an NFL snap in his career, and Adrian Martinez has got some serious accuracy issues, but he is a dual-threat quarterback. And so San Francisco now, who did work out Mike White earlier this week. So we'll see what happens. I also saw Derek Carr. He's not quite retired. Could San Francisco go out and maybe acquire a Kirk Cousins should Brock Purdy miss extended time? That's a storyline to keep an eye on, right? And San Francisco's all banged up. Offensive tackle Trent Williams has got a knee injury. Jawan Jennings has got a shoulder injury. Williams will be a game-time decision. Jennings is likely to go. Nobody out on the San Francisco. Oh, New Orleans does have some people out. Trevor Penning, the offensive lineman. Chase Young, the defensive end. The safety, Julian Blackman, also out for the Saints. And their offensive tackle, Taliese Fuaga, is questionable. Okay. CMC, he's back. He looked good, 142 scrimmage yards a week ago. Brian Robinson, remember him, 87 yards acquired from the Washington football team. They sure would like to have him back after it was announced Austin Eckler now has a torn ACL. So San Francisco benefits from the running back depth. I expect them to pound the rock, lean on the running game, try to keep Mac Jones in that short to intermediate parts of the field. One of the interesting stories from the Providence Journal this week was how Bill Belichick stopped speaking to Mac Jones his final year in New England, and Mac Jones saying that the Patriots stopped coaching him. Also, in that bombshell report was the fact that Belichick stopped talking to his defensive coordinator, Gerard Mayo, once he was announced as the interim head coach. And he was overruled by Robert Kraft to keep Matt Patricia on board as his offensive coordinator. Seems like there was a lot of rifts there in New England, but here comes Mac Jones after a stint in Jacksonville, a fresh start. Kyle Shanahan, remember the QB whisperer before Sean McVay and Kevin O'Connell came around. I think he'll work enough magic to beat Spencer Rattler and the Saints. And, Rattler had a career or NFL high 46 pass attempts a week ago, but you saw Nick Bosa seal the deal. He had 3 tackles for a loss last week with that strip sack, forced fumble recovery to seal the deal. Bosa, McCaffrey, the 49ers, they're going to be too much for these Saints, even when they're banged up and down. 24-13. Give me the 49ers to cover the 2.5. The over-under here is 39.5. All right, Ric Serritella moving right along here on the 1 o'clock action, NFL Week 1. This is your NFL Picke'm pregame show, and we got the Jacksonville Jaguars 1-0 at the Cincinnati Bengals 1-0. Neither team has been 2-0 since 2018. One of them is going to do it. Who's it going to be? Let's talk about it. Let's break it down. Jacksonville offensive guard Wyatt Milam is out. Also, Monteric Brown, the cornerback, doubtful for the Jags. Cincinnati's got a clean bill of health. Very, very clean. Nobody expected to miss this matchup for the Cincinnati Bengals, who got a sack out of Trey Hendrickson last week after missing all of the training camp. And Travis Hunter, we're going to see him maybe a little bit more on defense, according to reports, but he did have 6 catches in week 1, which was the most amongst NFL rookies in week 1. All right, Travis Hunter, keep an eye out for him. I like Jacksonville and what they're doing and what they're putting together and compiling, but something tells me Cincinnati at home is going to be a little bit too much. Now, I told you Cincinnati here is favored by 3.5. If I didn't tell you that, now you know. Over under 48.5. And I think the hook might hurt you, but I'm going to go Cincinnati 28-24 to cover that hook. Bengals by 4 in that 1 o'clock matchup at hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, I got another one for you. You ready? New England 0-1. Miami 0-1. Smells like fish. Dolphins favored 2.5. Actually went up from 1.5. What's going on here? The Dolphins held a players-only meeting after that week 1 beatdown at the hands of the Indianapolis Colts. Daniel Jones, what's he drinking these days? He looked like a newfound man there in Indianapolis. But I got news for you. Drake May, he's coming to town. And Drake May had a career high, 287 yards last week. I don't know what's going on with the point spread. To me, New England looks better on paper, but let's talk about it a little bit more because they did trade Jalen Polk. New England traded down 3 spots in the draft a couple years ago. They were in that slot number 34. They traded out of that spot down to 37 because they love Jalen Polk so much. They figured, let us wait. In the meantime, the Chargers traded up to the 34th pick and took Ladd McCaffrey. Meanwhile, New England, after 2 terrible years and a shoulder injury that's placed them on the IR, they deal Jalen Polk and a 2028 7th-round pick in exchange to the Saints for a 2027 6th-round pick. So you gave up Ladd McCaffrey, and then you flipped your 2nd-round pick for a 6th-round pick in 2027, and that's why evaluation matters, folks. When you think Jalen Polk is a better prospect than Ladd McCaffrey, and you don't know how to evaluate talent, this is what bad organizations do. Now, Mike Vrabel wasn't there when this all occurred, so he's cleaning up the mess. He's got a mop in aisle 9, and New England, they're going to be out with defensive end Keon White, who's been a little bit underwhelming in his career, but he does bring some pass rush presence. Christian Gonzalez is going to be out of this matchup. I believe he missed last week as well. He's arguably the best cornerback in the National Football League. Also, they brought in Morgan Moses from Washington in the offseason, the offensive tackle. He's questionable. The linebacker, Marte Mapu, also questionable for New England. Now, we talked about Miami being one of the most banged up teams in the National Football League in week 1. Injury report looks a little bit better, but man, still filled with injuries. In fact, Darren Waller experiment, it might be time to pull the plug. I want to be surprised if you see Darren Waller released soon. I want to be surprised, despite reports that the Dolphins are not going to trade Tyreek Hill, if he's dealt soon. I wouldn't be surprised if Mike McDaniel is fired after this game. All right, enough of the hot takes. Benito Jones also out. Offensive tackle Alaric Jackson also out. Cornerback Storm Duck also out. This was all for the Dolphins. Doubtful. Cornerback Ethan Bonner. Safety Ashton Davis. So you got the whole secondary littered with injuries. Running back Jalen Wright also doubtful. I don't know. It smells like fish. Vegas might know something that I don't, but I'm not buying what they're selling. In fact, I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go New England. I don't need the 2.5. Straight money line. Patriots come out winners out of Miami. The Mike McDaniels era ends, and the Dolphins keep on trending in the wrong direction. All right, one more game here in the A block for the 1 o'clock docket. Okay, Cleveland 0-1 at Baltimore 0-1. Baltimore favored by an 11.5 margin here. This is the biggest point line spread of week number 2 in the National Football League. Over under at 44.5. Let's talk about it. Be about it. Cleveland defensive tackle Michael Hall is out. Offensive tackle Jack Conklin is questionable. Okay, Quinshawn Judkins, remember him from Ohio State? I love the way he runs. Excellent, hard-nosed runner, can catch the ball out of the backfield, and I thought one of the best blocking running backs in this year's past draft. Now, he was the last rookie to sign. He was on the exempt list earlier this week. He popped up with a questionable status on the injury report. However, he is expected to play. However, his carries will be monitored, which means what? Raheem Rocket Sanders back in the mix, back in the fold. He had a touchdown last week. Big, bruising, punishing runner who can pound it between the tackles. On the Baltimore side of things, tight end Isaiah Likely, he's going to miss some time. Patrick Richard, the fullback who missed last week, he's also out again this week. Okay, and how about Derrick Henry? We talked about Matthew Stafford compiling 60,000 yards, putting up a Hall of Fame-like resume. There's no doubt in my mind Derrick Henry has got a Hall of Fame resume. In fact, last week, that fumble really put a damper on it, but 150 yards rushing for the 13th time in his career. He tied Jim Brown for the most all-time games with 150 yards rushing. You know what? There's a good chance he could do that again this week because Baltimore will be up by so many points. They'll be rocking. They'll be rolling. But here comes Cleveland. Could be a backdoor cover if Baltimore eases the gas off of the pedal. Maybe they have their backups there in the fourth quarter. 11.5 points is a lot. And I'll tell you what, Joe Flacco is capable of keeping it closer than that. Give me Baltimore to win this game 30-20, but Cleveland to cover with the 11.5 points. All right. Hey, you're tuned into the All Access Football Daily Show. We're locked. We're loaded. We're live. We're here each and every day, 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern. We just jumped right into the NFL Picke'm because there's so much to get to, and we appreciate you tuning in, welcoming us into your living room or wherever you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Hey, smash that like button, give it a share, give it a subscribe, spread the word, tell your friends it's them again. Hey, 11-5 last week against the spread. Now, I did have Thursday night football action was the Commanders and Packers. I had the Packers to win, but I did take the 3.5 with the Commanders. So we're 0-1 this week, but we're going to get off that snide. We're going to rock. We're going to roll. We're going to do better than that 11-5 last week, okay? So buckle up, hunker down. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to break down the rest of the 1 o'clock games. I got it all mapped out for you, which way to go, which direction, north, south, east, west. If you're just waking out of bed, don't worry. Buckle up, hunker down. We'll be back right after this. Hey, RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RICVIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody. All right, back at it again. RIC in the place to be. Ric Serritella broadcasting live from the confines of the Jersey Shore straight into your monitor. Wherever you are watching at home, we welcome you so much and thank you for tuning in. It's the All Access Football Daily Show. We're live 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off. Buckle up, hunker down, A block. We just broke down some of the 1 o'clock games on the docket for NFL Week 2. It's our NFL Picke'm show. We were 11-5 last week. We're going to try and do better this week, and we're going to get into the second half of the 1 o'clock games in the league where they play for pay. We'll throw a little music in here for you, right? Let's add a little drama and excitement to the Week 2 NFL Pick'em. We're going around the league, and nobody gets more juiced up and amped up for the NFL action than me. I've been up since 2 o'clock. I'm bouncing off the walls. Are you kidding me? Let's go around the league with all our tidbits of information so we can smash Vegas with a hammer. All right, Seattle, 0-1. Pittsburgh, 1-0. How about Aaron Rodgers on that play action last week? Working it beautifully, 4 touchdown passes. He had the Jets defenders turning their heads. They were seeing ghosts on defense, never mind on the offensive side of the ball. Hey, Aaron Rodgers is going to be working that magic again. He's going to be rocking the play action. He's going to be handing it off to that Jalen Warren. He's going to be handing it off to the Caleb Johnson. The Steelers are going to pound the rock. Oh, baby. Let's go talk about the injuries because there's a lot of drama in this matchup, too, by the way. DK Metcalf welcoming his own former team across the country into the yellow and black. But you know what? Pittsburgh doesn't care. Nick Anmawari is going to be out safety for Seattle, as well as Devin Witherspoon, who's doubtful at cornerback. So Seattle, they could be a little banged up in the secondary. Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, could they look to exploit that? I think so. Defensive tackle Derek Harmon, the rookie out of Oregon, is going to miss some time. He's out. Joey Porter, the cornerback, also out. Deshaun Elliott, the safety, doubtful. Pittsburgh, also some secondary issues. But Sam Darnold just ain't going to get the job done. We saw the debacle, the collapse at the end of last season. It trickled right into week one. That's who he is, folks. And Seattle downgraded their quarterback while Pittsburgh upgraded their quarterback. And I'll tell you what, Hayward, tackle for loss, pass deflection last week. Highsmith, 8 tackles and a sack last week. Watt, 5 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss and a pass defended. He's getting his hands on the ball. Patrick Queen's flying all over the field. 8 tackles, cleaning up the mess last week. How about Jalen Ramsey in the back end with a couple of key pass breakups? I mean, this is a talented Pittsburgh team. They just added Jabril Peppers this week, oh, by the way. Man, Pittsburgh is going to overpower the Seahawks. In fact, this is one of my best bets of the entire day. Hammer that nail. Steelers 27-20. The over-under set at 40.5. I think it goes over, but give me the Steelers as one of my stone-cold locks for the Week 2 NFL matchups. All right, let's take it back to New York. Buffalo 1-0 at the New York Jets 0-1. How about Justin Fields, though? Looking damn good last week. In fact, the Jets had 394 yards of offense, the most in over a decade, the most offensive yardage output since 2014. Break up the Jets. Is it true? Now, you know what's funny? They always play the Bills tough. It's usually a close game. Buffalo comes in on the road favored by 5.5, over under set at 47.5. Let's talk about it, shall we? Buffalo, Ed Oliver is going to be out with an ankle injury. Tre'Davious White, who's always on the injury report, he stays injured. He's going to be questionable with the groin. Surprise, surprise. How about Teron Johnson, the cornerback? Safety, Jordan Hancock, also questionable. Buffalo secondary, also as a whole, questionable. Maybe Fields has a field day. Also, Shaq Thompson, questionable for the Buffalo Bills. As far as the New York Jets are concerned, they're going to be without slot receiver Josh Reynolds. I'm looking at Tyler Johnson, a little bit under the radar for the New York Jets. I think he can emerge as a number 2 option over there, opposite of Garrett Wilson. The Jets will be without kick returner running back Kenny Nwagu, defensive tackle Jay Tufili. Tight end, rookie Mason Taylor showed up on the injury report. He's questionable, as is Michael Carter, the cornerback. But I hear Mason Taylor will give it a go. He's tough. He's gritty. He's ready. However, the Jets are not ready for this matchup. In fact, Buffalo is going to come in and be the toast of the town. They are the best team in New York. Give me Buffalo to cover 31-21, lay the 5.5. All right, staying in New York, except they're going to travel down to the big date, the New York Giants, that is. And I don't know what's happening over here in the Meadowlands up the road, but there's no sense of urgency, according to our good friend Jordan Raynon, to start Russell Wilson. I say hogwash. Are you not watching the same games as me? Russell Wilson, 22-34 since 2021 as a starter. That's a 5-year body of work. This is not the Russell Wilson of 2015. No, this is the Russell Wilson of 2025. And you know what? Egos destroy organizations. This is an egotistical move. Why? Well, Joe Shane's fighting for his job. Do you think suddenly, after giving Russell Wilson $22 million guaranteed, is just going to sit him in week 2 and pay him $22 million to start one game? No. That's why we're stuck with Russell Wilson again in week 2. Get ready for a slaughter fest. All right, Tyler Smith, he signs a 4-year extension yesterday, $96 million with $81.2 million guaranteed. He's now the highest paid interior offensive lineman in the entire league. So Micah Parsons' money, he doesn't get it. They spread it around and start extending some of the players in-house. I saw Deron Bland also getting an extension, and Deron Bland is out this week. By the way, Jadeveon Clowney in for a visit. Pretty interesting. Could Clowney sign after this week and give the Cowboys a little bit of a boost at the pass rush? They won't need it this week against the Giants. Trust me. The offensive line for Big Blue, they're like the subway turnstiles. Everybody gets through. And there's no urgency to start Jackson Dart. So they're going to get pummeled, especially Andrew Thomas, the left tackle, out once again. Everybody's holding their breath for this guy to come back. I got news for you. His career might be in jeopardy, ladies and gentlemen. All right, over on the not yet on the Dallas side of things, because New York has more injuries. Flanagan Fowles, the linebacker, out. Nacho, the defensive lineman, questionable. Wendell Robinson, the wide receiver, questionable. Dallas, I mentioned Deron Bland is out. Now, here's where things get interesting. I talked about the Giants' offensive line. They can't even block a soul. How about the cornerbacks? They're pretty terrible, too. How the heck in the world is this team going to cover CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens? I don't see it. You need Dallas to rock and roll this Sunday. 31-13. Cue up those guitars down in Dallas. Yeehaw. I'm laying those 5.5. 31-13 Cowboys. Hey, tune in Monday night for the New and Blue Giants podcast. I'll have a lot more to talk about those New York Giants, huh? All right, let's go over to the Norris division where the Chicago Bears, 0-1, taking on the Detroit Lions, who are pissed off after getting beat down by the Green Bay Packers, 0-1. Dan Campbell said, we're going to win the game because we need to win the game. Hey, how about Brian Kelly yesterday? We played the game to win the game. He reached down and touched himself with a little bit of inner Herm Edwards. Well, Dan Campbell's doing the same thing. He's going to bite your kneecaps off today, Chicago. Let's talk about it. The Bears, cornerback, Kyler Gordon, he's out. Doubtful is Jade Walker, the wide receiver. Questionable is defensive tackle, Grady Jarrett. For Detroit, they're going to be without Trevor Nowaski, the linebacker. Doubtful, Sione Vaki, the running back. Questionable, Taylor Decker, the offensive tackle. Safety, Kirby Joseph, also questionable for the Lions. Detroit is favored by 6.5 in this matchup. I've been talking about it all week long on the All Access Football Daily Show. Caleb Williams looks terrible, and Tyson Bagent is the better quarterback. It's only a matter of time, folks, until it's Bagent time. But first, the Bears got to lose a few more, and that continues today. I like the Lions 27-19. The over-under coming in at 46.5 here, but Detroit should cover the 6.5 spread over the Chicago Bears as they get ready to queue up that panic button. All right, let's swing over to the afternoon slate. 4 p.m. games. Kicking it off, Carolina. In fact, we're a little bit early on the 4 o'clock games. We're actually scheduled for our next commercial break. We're flying through the show. All right, let's take a couple deep breaths. Let's welcome everybody back. And let me do a quick introduction since we jumped into it. I am Ric Serritella, telling it like it is when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin. You're tuned into the All Access Football Daily Show. We're live each and every day, 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern. I hope you're enjoying the show. I'm ramped up, man. I've been up so early today. I just could not sleep. I've been beating the sun up and just hammering the boardwalk here at the Jersey Shore. And we're going to hammer the nail out in Vegas today with our picks, 11-5 in NFL Week 1. We're going to do better this week, okay? We went around the league with the A block 1 o'clock games. We just broke down the second slate of 1 o'clock games. What do you think? Should we keep it rocking? Should we keep it rolling? Let's keep it moving and grooving, shall we? All right, let's get into those 4 o'clock games, and let's see if we can find some good music. Hammer, now, hammer, now, hammer, now. You can catch me Catch the show out in Vegas. You can catch us internationally. All Access Football, 50,000 subscribers, 70 countries, read by all 32 teams. Are you getting down on it? Are you getting all of our insider info? Are you getting the draft insiders on Fridays, the world famous All Access Football Report on Wednesdays? How about our Scout Notebook coming out tomorrow? We're going to talk about all the college football action on allaccessfootball.com on the website. But today's an NFL day. You smell the pigskin? That's not bacon, baby. Let's buckle up and hunker down. 4 o'clock, the Carolina Panthers 0-1 against the Arizona Cardinals 1-0. Arizona was the best bet pick for me last week. They did cover, and they are at home this week against the Carolina Panthers team, who I think is trending down. I'm not a believer in the end of the year feel-good story about Dave Canales and Bryce Young. No, these two are tied at the hip. I expect both of them to be out of town after the season, and I'm going to tell you why in just a second. Carolina, though, their defense allowed 200 rushing yards last week, 6.3 yards per carry. Buckle up, James Conner. Gear up, Trey Benson. By the way, Benson last week with the career-high 69 rushing yards. I think both Conner and Benson sniff out the pay dirt this week. All right, the injury report. Carolina is going to be without Treshawn Wharton, the defensive tackle. Their offensive tackle, Ike Ekwonu, still suffering an illness. He's listed as questionable. For Arizona, linebacker Cody Simon is going to be out. Tight end Tip Ryman will also be out. Big guard Will Hernandez is questionable, along with Blake Gillikin, something to keep an eye on for the Cardinals and their special teams, with their punter being listed as questionable. I mentioned Benson with the career high 69 yards rushing last week. Also looking pretty damn good was Marvin Harrison Jr. 5 catches for 71 yards. I expect him to keep his momentum going. In fact, I like Harrison to go over for 100 yards this week. Budda Baker. What? This guy is one of the best safeties in the entire National Football League. 10 tackles last week, tackle for loss, pass deflection, all over the field. So was Will Johnson, who only played about 50 or 60% of the snaps, but still was the first rookie since 2020 to register 3 pass deflections in his NFL debut. So I like the Cardinals here. In fact, I like them to lay the 6.5. In fact, I like Arizona so much, I'm going to go back to the wishing well with them as my best bet once again in week 2. I told you in the 1 o'clock games, I like the Steelers. In 4 o'clock, hammer, nail, Cardinals, 27-12. They walk all over those Carolina Panthers. All right, Denver, 1-0. At Indianapolis, 1-0. Expose the frauds. That's what we do here on the All Access Football Daily Show. We're going to expose the frauds, such as Daniel Jones. Don't let week 1 fool you now. Denver, you saw what they did to Cam Ward last week. 6 big sacks, 62 sacks in 2024, led the NFL. Daniel Jones folds like a cheap suit under pressure. The Broncos are going to be coming from the left. They're going to be coming from the right. They're going to be coming up the middle. They're going to be serving up fright. Heck, they might even be coming from behind Daniel Jones today. It's going to be a swarm of killer bees for the Denver Broncos. But linebacker Dre Greenlaw will be out. Tight end Nate Atkins also out for the Broncos. In Indianapolis, cornerbacks Jalen Jones and Charvarius Ward are both out. Hey, fantasy football alert. If you got Bo Nix, start him. Denver is going to be throwing the ball. Denver is going to be running the ball. They're going to be doing both with efficiency. And in fact, Denver could be 2-0 for the first time since 2021. Now, Indianapolis also won last week. They pummeled the Dolphins. That was their first week 1 win since 2013. Kind of hard to believe. They haven't won in week 1 in 12 years. Well, enjoy it while it lasts, because it's going to be short-lived. Now, if the Colts do pull off the upset, Denver comes in on the road as a 1.5-point favorite here. But should Indianapolis win, they will be, the first team. No, I'm sorry. They can become 2-0 for the first time since 2009. How about that? All right, now, They did accomplish a milestone last week. They did become the first team in 47 years in the history of the National Football League. They became the first team to score on every single offensive possession. I can guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, it won't happen this week. I promise you. Ric Serritella says so. In fact, I like Denver to win this game 24-19. Woo! All right. We're just getting started here on the All Access Football Daily Show. In fact, we're about 2/3 down. So if you're just tuning in, we're going around the league. We did the 1 o'clock games. We got through the 4 o'clock games. But when we come back, we're going to take a look at the Super Bowl rematch between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. We also have an exhilarating Sunday night football affair between the Atlanta Falcons and the Minnesota Vikings. So don't go anywhere. Buckle up, hunker down, take that bathroom break, and we'll see you in 2 minutes, everybody. Hey, RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world-famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world-famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RICVIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody. Buckle up, everybody. RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella back at it again, breaking it down, chopping it up. NFL Week 2. If you can't tell, I've had about 2 pots of coffee bouncing off the walls here on this Sunday morning, waiting for the 1 p.m. kickoff. We're all amped up. We're buckled up. We're hunkered down. We got all the tidbits, the factoids, the injury reports, and we expose the frauds here on the All Access Football Daily Show. We're live 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern. Last segment, I exposed the frauds, who are the Indianapolis Colts and Daniel Jones. Don't buy that week 1 output because Daniel Jones folds like a cheap suit. The Denver Broncos pass rush is going to be way too much for Indianapolis and Daniel Jones this week. We exposed the frauds. We're about to expose another fraud. And I see our good friend Tom Goodhines in the chat room. Appreciate him for tuning in each and every day, leaving the comments, showing some love. Smash that like button if you're on Twitter, X, YouTube, Facebook. Give it a share. Subscribe for our new show alerts. By the way, I'll be flying solo tomorrow for a look at all the college football action. If we have time at the end of the show, I'll give you some quick thoughts on the college football slate that was. Tuesday, we're going to have our good friend Josh Alper from ProFootballTalk.com. He's been a staple there at PFT for quite a while. If you tuned into any of my old shows, the Football Playbook, the State of Football, NFL Draft Bible Radio, then you're familiar with Josh Alper. And of course, if you read Pro Football Talk, Wednesday, we got Howard Balzer locked and loaded each and every Wednesday, covering the NFL for the past 5 decades. The man's covered 44 Super Bowls, and he's generous enough to bless us with his presence each and every Wednesday, talking it up, chopping it up, breaking it down. Also, Saturday, if you missed yesterday's show, we do our NFL or college football pregame show with a little bit of NFL draft slant. Longtime veteran scout Russ Landy joins me every Saturday for the college football pregame edition. But this week, you are tuned in Sunday to our NFL Picke'm. All right, so far we've got 2 best bets on the docket. I told you 1 o'clock, hammer, nail, Pittsburgh. Big win this week. I'm smelling for the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Seattle Seahawks. And Arizona is going to take care of business once again. In fact, I just saw during the commercial break, it went up from 6.5 to 7. But I do like the Arizona Cardinals as the 4 p.m. lock. Okay. I apologize to Tom Goodhines in the chat because we do expose the frauds. And every time I pick against Patrick Mahomes, it comes back to bite me, except for last week because the Chiefs are 0-1 out of the gates. And I tell you what, last year they were 15-2. That was some miracle work. Almost each and every game went down to the wire, and you're starting to see the cracks in the armor. And I'll tell you what, Kansas City coming off the 40-22 blowout Super Bowl loss, I got news for you. You might see a lot of the same this week because Xavier Worthy, wide receiver, he's out. Jalen Royals, the rookie wide receiver, he's out. Rashee Rice is still serving the second of his 6-game suspension. Where is the Chiefs' ammunition going to come from? And as much as you guys know I love Jersey, and as much as I love Isaiah Pacheco, the Chiefs' ground game just really isn't explosive. And so I just wonder about the output. Travis Kelce can't do it all. Another year, longer in the tooth. So what does that mean? Well, before we get to the predictions, let's take a look at the Philadelphia side because Dallas Goedert, the tight end, is out. Will Shipley, the running back, is out. Cam Williams, the rookie offensive tackle, is out. Tanner McKee, the backup quarterback, questionable as he was last week, but have no fear. Howie Roseman is here. What did he do? He went out and made sure he had Sam Howell secured as a backup. This past week, he trades for Tank Bigsby from Jacksonville. So no Will Shipley, no problem. In comes Tank Bigsby. You know, Philadelphia is one of the most complete teams. I put them right up there with the Baltimore Ravens in terms of 1-53. This is a talented Eagles roster. I saw a meme floating around this morning. Jalen Hurts reading Dak Prescott a book, How to Win a Super Bowl. Thought it was funny. So you need a little funny on your Sunday morning. Maybe if you're a Cowboys fan, not so funny. But Jalen Hurts, he seems to win and win a lot. He doesn't still get the respect he deserves. You think he's got a chip on his shoulder? I certainly think so. I think Philadelphia, who comes into this matchup as 1.5-point favorites, rolls, and they roll easily. Over under here is 47.5. I think it's going to be over. Give me Philly, 34-24. I'm not picking the Chiefs again. I'm sorry, Tom Goodhines. I'm against the Chiefs this week, and they're going to be 0-2. Woo! I told you before the season started that AFC West was not going to be crowned by the Kansas City Chiefs. Enter the Denver Broncos, maybe the LA Chargers. Chiefs will be 0-2. All right, it's time for the Sunday Night Football affair. And to do that, let's cue it up in the league where they play for pay. Hammer. Now, let's get them. 11-5 last week against the spread. We got to do better this week. Atlanta 0-1 with the Michael Penix experiment. It looked pretty good last week. Minnesota 1-0 with J.J. McCarthy, who looked terrible last week until the fourth quarter magic. This guy is working more magic than Don Mikowski. J.J. McCarthy, that is. Minnesota comes in at 3.5-point favorites. The over-under set at 44.5. Let's talk about it, shall we? All right, Minnesota. Van Ginkel, man, a defensive playmaker. Alex Van Ginkel, he's going to have a concussion. He was in the concussion protocol all week. He's going to miss this matchup. Offensive tackle, Christian Darrisaw, big loss. He's also going to be out. Jeffrey Okudah, the cornerback, also out for Minnesota. Some key losses there. Questionable, linebacker, Austin Keys. Safety, Harrison Smith, also has an illness. So you look at this injury report for the Vikings, outside of Darrisaw, it's all on the defensive side of the ball, which means what? Maybe some points on the board. All right. On Atlanta's side, kick returner wide receiver Jamal Agnew out. Safety, Jordan Fuller out. Wide receivers, Darnell Mooney, Casey Washington, both out. Questionable, my guy, Billy Bowman, the rookie safety. I love this young man, but he is questionable this week, as is safety DeMarco Helms. And rookie defensive end, first-round pick, James Pierce, also showing up on the injury report. So Atlanta also banged up, a little bit on offense, a little bit on defense. They've got kicking woes, though, in the form of Young Ho Ko, the kicker. Good friend of the show, by the way, Young Ho Ko. He's out. Missed the 44-yard game-tying field goal last week against the Bucs. He gets to watch from the bench this week. Parker Romo, you're in. Romo, 28 years old, 11 of 12 from the field goal range, 7 of 8 from extra points a year ago from the Vikings. Atlanta hoping to get better production from their kicker there. Now, we mentioned J.J. McCarthy. Man, I'm a believer. I like what's cooking, what's brewing. Give me some of that stew that's stirring in the pot up there in Minnesota. He is the first quarterback to overcome a 10-point fourth quarter deficit in his NFL debut since who? The Hall of Famer Steve Young did it back in 1985. Man, that would be 40 years ago, Rick. And dare I say, I remember? All right, J.J. McCarthy. He can also become the first rookie since 1970 to win back-to-back primetime rookie debut games. That would be the first time since 1970. That would be 55 years, Rick. You did pretty good in math in school, didn't you? Man, we got stats for days here on the All Access Football Daily Show. 3.5. This is scary. The hook might hurt you because I do like Minnesota, but they are banged up. And I like Minnesota to win this game, but I think it'll be close. In fact, I'm looking for J.J. McCarthy to work those late game heroics once again. Give me the Vikings 27-24, the last second field goal, and the Vikings get out to a 2-0 start on Sunday Night Football. All right. Man, and we didn't even plan that. We queued it up, right? We got it right as the music ended. So if my AI producer is listening at home, why don't you cue up that as a little promo hit after the show, AI. All right, buckle up. Ric Serritella here on this All Access Football Daily Show. We're live 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern. If you're just finding out and learning about us now, smash that like button, subscribe, share it. We appreciate it. And hey, thanks for Tom Goodheim for getting interactive with it. We have yet to light the chat room on fire here, something we've done in past shows. So we appreciate all the interaction, all the feedback, all your questions, your comments, your concerns. I know you're out there listening. So, I mean, is it really too much to smash that like button while you're here? We appreciate it. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take one more break. When we come back, I'm going to give you some of my thoughts from the college football landscape that was yesterday. Some exciting games to talk about, upset alerts, prospects on the rise, prospects on the slide. We'll try to get as much in as this hour of power starts to wind down. Buckle up, everybody. Hey, RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day Circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RICVIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report, published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody. All right, back at it again. All right, seeing a place to be. Ric Serritella telling it like it is. When it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, you found us here on the NFL Picke'm show, 11-5 against the spread last week. We just went around the league with our week 2 picks. If you're just tuning in, you can go back and watch the archive before the 1 o'clock action. I will tell you our best bets for today's action are the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, and we got a few minutes left to toy around with, and the hour of power just flies by, especially when you're flying on the caffeine like myself. But a couple of notes on the college football docket, and tomorrow I'll have more. I'll be flying solo on Mondays because there's so much to cover. We'll recap NFL, we'll recap college football, we'll talk about the draft Tuesday. Josh Alper from Pro Football Talk will join us, and Wednesday we get the legendary Howard Balzer, Pro Football Hall of Fame voter, each and every Wednesday. But a couple news and notes from last night. LSU defeating Florida, and the cat calls are coming for John Gruden down in Gainesville. Billy Napier could be on his way out. John Gruden could be on his way in there in Florida, but LSU wins 20-10. Garrett Nussmeier, you heard Greg McElroy on the broadcast talking about bad throws, poor decision-making. Nussmeier didn't look great, but he still remains our number 1 quarterback when it comes to the 2026 NFL draft. And our number 2 quarterback, Lenore Sellers, actually took a brutal hit, left the game with a head injury. Diego Pavia and those Vanderbilt Commodores. I was down there in training camp. Our good friend Lance Zeno, Tom, he's one of the scouts, that scouts the opposition, the pro scouts that scouts the opponent during game week. Well, he did a great job because Vanderbilt, led by Diego Pavia, tight end Eli Stowers, who's a potential first-round pick, they slaughtered the 11th ranked South Carolina Gamecocks 31-7. Vandy 3-0. I fully expect them to enter the top 25 fray this week. All right, Notre Dame loses a close one there at the end, 41-40. Texas A&M comes out on top. A&M is going to be moving up the rankings. Notre Dame is going to be sliding down the rankings. But this Marcel Reed out of Texas A&M, redshirt sophomore, dual threat quarterback, suddenly popping onto the NFL radar, just a name to keep an eye on. Clemson, man, they're 1-2. I really thought I got bamboozled by this Clemson Tigers team. I thought they were going to be national champion contenders, and they just laid another egg against Georgia Tech. Haynes King, man, he is on the rise in terms of a premier quarterback prospect. In fact, he may have catapulted himself past Clay Klubnik. He played like poop. 24-21, Georgia Tech beats Clemson. Let's see what else we got that we can sneak in here. Michigan 63-3. Bryce Underwood, if you want a name for the 2027 or 2028 NFL draft. Bryce Underwood down there in Michigan looking real good, looking real comfortable now as the 23rd ranked Wolverines pummel Central Michigan. So just a couple of news and notes from the college football action that was yesterday. Of course, tomorrow, and we'll have more college football talk. We'll have NFL talk. We'll have a Monday Night Football doubleheader preview. How about that? We got 2 games on Monday night, including the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 1-0 at the Houston Texans 0-1, as well as the LA Chargers drawing another primetime slate at the Las Vegas Raiders, also 1-0. So tomorrow we'll have another jam-packed edition. I can't believe we're out with this hour of power. But hey, while you're here, smash the like button, share it, subscribe it. Go over to allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great 30% discount promo that includes the 2026 NFL Draft Bible. We're going to have some great giveaways this upcoming week as well. So make sure you keep it locked for that. But if you do subscribe to allaccessfootball.com, you get access to all of our premium content. We got the NFL Draft Watch for about 70 teams from college football, the top prospects, their verified measurements, scouting reports, projections, insider intel. Of course, Draft Insider is published on Friday. The world famous All Access Football Report on Wednesday, read by 50,000 subscribers from 70 countries around the world and all 32 NFL teams. So if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? And tomorrow, Monday, we'll have our Scout Notebook, courtesy of the NFL Draft Bible Scouting Department. Last week, we published 15 scouting reports from players that we were monitoring from the college football action. We'll try to do better on that tomorrow. Of course, we'll try to do better on the All Access Football Daily Show. Since we are live 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern, we want to get better every day. So drop us a line, leave us some feedback. Even if it's the archives, you want to throw us a comment. We love to get interactive with it. We love the feedback, the positive, the negative, and everything else in between. So for Ric Serritella, the chat room familia, and Tom Goodhines, all of you out there around the football universe, we thank you so much for tuning in today, and we'll be back at it again tomorrow with another edition of the All Access Football Daily Show at 10 a.m. Eastern, sharp, live. Buckle up, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hey, RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world-famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world-famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RICVIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report, published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off. Rain, sleet, hail, snow, the show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody.